Bump was a short little game with quite the negative reputation. Just bump the correct set of buses and the contestant wins. But it's the bump itself that caused the most water cooler discussion, and in the end, the most controversy. This is going to be a wild one, folks. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Bump. Number 5. It was Johnny Olsen's final game to premiere. Let's get the sad stuff out of the way first. Bump was the last game to premiere before the death of Johnny Olsen in 1985. His death would only occur 1 month after the premiere of this game. Johnny Olsen was certainly beloved by many fans and is still missed to this day, especially with seeing him in so many Barker-era episodes available on Pluto TV. Number 4. It was the first game to debut in 1985. With One Away being the last game to premiere in December of 1984, the show went on a long 9 months with no new games debuting. Bump would be the first game to debut in the 1985-86 season. Of course, with so many recent games quickly failing, perhaps the break was needed to reinvigorate the creative team. Although, let's be real, this game didn't exactly thrive either, and I'll get to why in a second. Number 3. It bears similarities to Pushover. Although not exact, the later debuted game of Pushover is similar in some ways to Bump. The contestant has the price bumped off of the row to form the correct price, much like the incorrect price is bumped off of the set in Bump. Although I don't think Bob referred to any of the buses in Bump as having gone to China. Number 2. The Barker era has avoided most episodes featuring Bump. Although the Barker era has been excellent about posting classic episodes of The Price is Right, one of the things they have been avoiding for the most part are any episodes that feature Bump in them. Although this isn't a complete ignorance of the game, as at least one episode featuring Bump has aired, it is very difficult to stumble on Bump on this channel, and certainly not on its YouTube channel. It is not clear though if this episode airing was intentional or a mistake. Meanwhile, why is Bump considered to be pretium iustum est non grata? The number 1 fun fact about Bump: it was retired due to its suggestive nature. Bump was famous or infamous for the way the bumps happened. Diane or Janice would wind up their hips and bump the next bus right off of the set. This, of course, was criticized for being sexual in nature, and to be honest, it kind of is. Now, are these truly the most sexual moments in the history of television? No, of course not. But it was decided by 1991 to go in a different direction and make The Price is Right as family-friendly as possible, without any hints that human beings are in fact sexual creatures. This doesn't even include any mention of the off-screen relationship between Bob and Diane, but that obviously didn't help matters. Bottom line, no pun intended, Bump was simply the wrong game at the wrong time. Atom Up was a short-lived but somewhat enjoyable game that ran from 1986 until 1988. Personally, I remember really liking this game as a kid because it coincided with the edition that I was learning in school at the time. But like many games of this era, it was short-lived and is now a mere memory. So let's take a look back as I continue to review every Price is Right pricing game US version with 5 fun facts about Atom Up. Number 5. It was the first pricing game to premiere after Rod Roddy became permanent announcer. After a short audition process, Rod Roddy became the show's second permanent announcer in 1986. Roddy previously announced for shows such as Love Connection and Press Your Luck before landing this gig. Rod Roddy would become a staple of the show and would stay on as announcer until his own death in 2003. Number 4. It shared an element with a future game to premiere. If the price display behind the car looks familiar, it should. The very next game to premiere, Pathfinder, uses the same display board prominently in its set, which of course means it will be the next game for me to review, and I can't wait to get into that one. Number 3. The game board is in the shape of a plus sign. If you've never noticed it before, now you can't unsee it. The game board is a giant plus sign. Pretty cool, huh? Number 2. The game was never adjusted for inflation. By the late 1980s, prices for new cars were much more frequently starting for over $10,000, thus many of the games on the show needed to be adjusted for inflation while keeping the game fair. In games like Money Game and Any Number, a digit is given away for free, and then you have games like Three Strikes, which just became exponentially more difficult to win, but offered much nicer cars. Atom Up remained untouched, likely because perhaps the team didn't have a lot of faith in this game moving forward. Thus, the number 1 fun fact for Atom Up: It was retired for several different reasons. Atom Up simply did not have a bright future on The Price is Right. Between its low win percentage, complicated rule set, and lack of popularity among The Price is Right staff, Atom Up just did not have a winning recipe for success. But join me next time as I take a much more successful path to victory. Pathfinder has been going strong since 1987 and is a fun little game still played today. Step on the correct digits in order and win a brand new car. Simple, to the point, and fun to watch. Let's take the right path to success on this one. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Pathfinder. Number 5. It was the last game to premiere with Bob's dark hair. In 1987, Bob decided to stop dyeing his hair, going from dark hair to the gray look he would maintain for the rest of his life. This happened during a time when it wasn't quite so accepted to show imperfection from television hosts, so kudos to Bob for taking that huge risk into a world not yet truly embraced at that point. Number 4. The Crocodile Dentist Incident. This was immortalized in the 25th anniversary special as one of the more classic moments in the show's history. Bob decided that he and Janice should demonstrate one of the game's second chance prizes, the children's game Crocodile Dentist. They took turns pulling the game's teeth, and then Bob was the lucky one who got the bad tooth, and thus the crocodile bit down on him. His priceless reaction led to the clip being played back again in future specials. Number 3. It borrows a display prop from another game. As I mentioned during Atom Up, the game's display prop is the same as said game. Although Atom Up lasted a very short amount of time, Pathfinder is still being played regularly as of 2024. Number 2. There was one major set change thanks to COVID. As a way of providing social distancing during COVID, extenders were added to the set to provide at least 6 feet between Drew and the contestant. However, even though social distancing protocols have come to an end, the game maintains slightly trimmer versions of these extenders, presumably because the staff like them and believe the game looks better with them attached. And the number 1 fact about Pathfinder: it has a 23% win percentage. Pathfinder's biggest downfall is its low win percentage. Approximately 1 in every 4 contestants will come away with a new car on this game. Pathfinder is a challenge in just about every facet, and thus when wins do happen, they are spectacular. Sure, that may end on a down note, and next week's might not end quite as happily either, but hey, I'm trying. Give me some credit. Credit Card was played often during its 21-year run on The Price is Right, a fun little game in which contestants must choose 3 prizes without exceeding the credit limit. Credit Card was a quick way to win 5 decent prizes. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Credit Card. Number 5. The Credit Card Prop. The giant credit card that was inserted into the game's ATM was simply a cardboard prop which had no technical merit. Of course, it wouldn't be until after this card was inserted into the ATM that the credit limit for the contestant would be revealed. Number 4. It was the first game to premiere after Bob's hair turned gray. As I mentioned in my Pathfinder review, Bob allowed his hair to go gray in 1987, bucking a trend that many television personalities had to maintain dark hair in order to be presentable. Although he did ask the audience if they liked it or not, Bob would keep this look throughout the remainder of his time as host on the show and beyond. Kudos to Bob for having the confidence to be his authentic self. Number 3. It was won only once in Season 33. Season 33 was a tough one for Credit Card as the game was only won one single time during all of its playings that year. Of course, it was one of the more memorable wins, with the contestant doing this rather special dance to celebrate. What would you even call this dance? It's certainly unlike many of the dances made by contestants after they win, that is for sure. Number 2. There is no clear reason why the game was retired. Credit Card was very quietly retired in 2008 with no clear answer given as to why. Some believe it is due to inflation, others believe that it's because it took too long to explain the prizes, and others believe it's because the staff just simply didn't like it anymore. Either way, Credit Card was a game that did not live long into the Drew era. And the number 1 fun fact about Credit Card: it almost predicted its fate. It is said that there was an expiration date written on the prop credit card that said December 2007. What is interesting about this date is that the game had its final playing in October of 2008, less than a year after the date printed on the card. Even then, credit card was rarely played during the Drew era, so it's almost as if the game had predicted when it would actually expire. Now as for next week, I have a real classic coming up. I shouldn't have to spell it out for you. Spelling Bee is a great game and one of my all-time favorites in the show's history. Spell out the word car either all at once or one letter at a time and win one. Simple but fun and always exciting to watch. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Spelling Bee. Number 5. The Drew Increase. During the entirety of the Barker era, each card a contestant had obtained was worth $500. However, beginning with the Drew era, the amount on the cards had gone up to $1,000, making the choice to proceed with the car much more difficult. As more and more expensive cards are given away on this game, the price of these cards have gone up as well, reaching as high as $5,000 per card. That's a quick $25,000 if you win every opportunity for a card. Nothing to shake a stick at. Number 4. There was one necessary set change. When the game was first played, it was almost impossible to tell which numbers had already been selected. Thus, in 1992, red strips were added behind the cards. Thus, when a contestant selected the card, it obviously stood out to them and to us as the viewer. Number 3. The game has also been played for cash. Although not as common, Spelling Bee has also been played for a monstrous cash prize of $100,000. During these versions of the game, the C, A, and R are replaced with the letters B, I, and G, and 2 cards that spell big. Just adds a new dynamic to an already exciting game. Number 2. The Dream Car Week Disaster. In 2020, which was enough of a disaster, Spelling Bee was played for a Lexus worth over $100,000. With each card worth $5,000 for this play, and the contestant bailed out with 3 cards remaining, taking $15,000 home. Unfortunately for her, the cards remaining were in fact a C, and A, and an R. She would have won the car, but still left with an excellent payoff of $15,000. Do you think she made the right decision? Leave your answer in the comments. And the number 1 fun fact about Spelling Bee, it was played perfectly twice. A perfect playing of Spelling Bee means the contestant is able to get one of each C, A, and R, as well as both cards which read car on them. This has happened twice in history. Rare and quite spectacular, and also, well, completely unnecessary. The contestant doesn't get anything extra for a rare achievement, but they do get bragging rights, and those are always fun. These wins are pretty super, but are they as super as next week's game? I really liked Super Saver when it was still being played between 1989 and 1996, so I didn't think I would have a hard time coming up with 5 fun facts about it. But alas, this one ended up being one of my biggest challenges to date. I'm sure many of you will have your own facts to add as you often do, so let's get the ball rolling anyway. Here we go with 5 fun facts about Super Saver. Number 5. It was the first game to premiere in 1989. It's hard to believe that we're almost through the 1980s. I honestly didn't expect to make it this far in the series, but here we are. My goal is to review every pricing game in the US version of The Price is Right is still intact, so hopefully I will finish this list sooner than later. Number 4. Constant malfunctions. One of the most infamous aspects of Super Saver is that the game dealt with constant malfunctions. The K in bank would often get stuck, thus wins and losses were sometimes read as winks and losks. Today this technology would probably be full monitor with a computer graphic similar to the way bonus game is played, but that's just a guess on my part. Number 3. A contestant was once given an item for free. Obviously, this was a mistake on the end of the production team. A price was accidentally left visible for a contestant, which gave them quite a bit of an advantage. Even with the little additional help, the contestants still lost. Number 2. The game had a definitive length. Unlike many games which can end early if played well, Super Saver was played the same every single time. The contestant would have to draw 4 items no matter what. However, even if a contestant still got the value that was worth more than the price shown, Bob would make sure to remind them that they could still mathematically win. Which leads me to the number 1 fun fact about Super Saver. It was retired due to an incident involving the rules. This was due to the one time that Bob failed to mention this. The contestant playing the game complained that she was unaware of the ability to still win with a wrong guess, which caused her to lose the game. All told, this was the third time Bob failed to explain the rules correctly. In an effort to prevent such an incident from happening again in the future, the game was simply retired. A good game that saw a quick, unfortunate end. In 1996, Super Saver made its move to the retirement list, but come back next time when you can make your move. Make Your Move is not one of my favorite games, but it has been in active rotation since 1989 and still gives away solid prizes. Place the correct prize under the price and you win 3 prizes of 2, 3, and 4 digits. As I continue to review every pricing game in the US version of The Price is Right, here we go with 5 fun facts about Make Your Move. Number 5. Lighting up the colors. For the first 5 years of the game's existence, when the contestants made their guess, the numbers would light up and only after a win would they be lit up in an outline signifying a win. However, this was confusing for many contestants who thought they won, thus the practice was stopped in 1994 and the numbers remained dimmed until the contestant won. Subtle, but necessary to keep the game as understandable as possible. Number 4. It was occasionally played for cars. Until 1996, the game would be played for 4-digit cars. Of course, by the mid-1990s, the idea of any car in 4 digits would become nothing but fantasy. Thus, the practice was stopped when cars permanently entered the 5-digit world. Number 3. There are only 6 possible combinations. It may seem like there are countless combinations to play Make Your Move, but in reality, there are only 6 ways the game can be played. Thus, if you play the game without taking into account any knowledge of the product, the game has a 1 in 6 chance of winning. The odds go up if you are able to deduce a close enough guess of the prizes in question. So having said that, Number 2. The game has a 42% win percentage. Make Your Move is not one of the most won games on the show with an estimated 42% win percentage. Again, this is not my favorite game by any stretch. How do you feel about Make Your Move still in rotation? Let me know in the comments. And the number 1 fun fact about Make Your Move, the game was pulled and confusingly revamped. Very shortly after the game's debut in 1989, it was removed for the remainder of the season. When the game came back in October of 1990, there were 2 separate 3-digit prizes, which meant that one of the digits would overlap. This was extremely confusing, and the 2, 3, and 4-digit prices were almost immediately returned as normal. No one exactly knows why any of this was necessary, but luckily we were able to get the game back to its original format before these atrocious changes became permanent. And for my next review, we're going to close out the 1980s with another game I don't particularly love, but you'll get a good review for the price of, well, it's YouTube, for the price of nothing. 2 for the Price of 1 is a very simple game and there isn't too much to say about it other than who created it and when it premiered. 2 prizes are given away and only 1 prize is needed. Not one of my favorite games, this is going to be a short but sweet list today, folks. Here we go with 5 fun facts about 2 for the Price of 1. Number 5. It was the last game to premiere in the 1980s. Well, folks, we made it to the end of the 1980s. This has certainly become a challenge to come up with fun facts about every pricing game, and I have a feeling it's only going to get more difficult. Nevertheless, this has been a lot of fun, and I hope you all join me as I begin to discuss the 1990s. Number 4. It is a 25% chance of winning. If you go into this game with 0 knowledge of the prize, there is 1 in 4 chance that you can win the game. Of course, with any product knowledge, this number will go up, and it does. But does it go up a whole lot? That leads me to Number 3. The game is won slightly less than half the time it's played. This game carries a 46% winning rate, thus there is a pretty even chance that you will see a win or a loss when watching this game. Not terrible for a quick little game such as this one, but could probably stand to be a little higher. Number 2. It is similar to Safecrackers. The gameplay is similar to Safecrackers, but technically slightly easier. Obviously, this game doesn't have quite the same memorable features that Safecrackers has, but it does seem to play a lot quicker also. And the number 1 fun fact about 2 for the Price of 1, it was the first game created by Bob Barker. Oddly enough, after 17 years of hosting the show, this was the first game that was actually created by Barker himself. Being the executive producer by this time, he would have his own final say in the creation process. It was also the first game to be played under the rebranded Bob Barker Studio in 1998. I wouldn't call this game a work of art, but come back next time where the game is literally a work of art. You won't want to miss it.